Secrets of the Morgue, Part 1, The Shadow over South Alabama. The dorm room was a suffocating void, broken only by the feeble amber glow of a desk lamp that cast grotesque shadows across a stark single bed and a chaotic mountain of study materials. This was the former sanctuary of Catherine Foster, a quintessential American girl whose black and white photograph, a gentle smile frozen forever, belied the horror that had consumed her. She was just a normal American girl, the commentator's voice echoed, cold and unsettling. But normality had been shattered, replaced by the chilling question, was there another secret life? Was she involved in something no one knew about? The backdrop was Mobile, Alabama, a city typically known for its southern charm and friendliness. Yet as February 23, 1980 dawned, a palpable dread had seeped into the very soul of the University of South Alabama campus. Crime was an anomaly here, reserved for distant, bigger cities. This was a place of security guards, parking tickets, and quiet academic pursuit. But that Saturday morning, staff and students gathered, drawn not by the promise of education, but by something far more sinister: the disappearance of Catherine Foster. Catherine, a respected, popular, and excellent student pursuing a degree in physical therapy, was the last person anyone expected to vanish. Her life was meticulously structured around her studies and her church involvement. Her disappearance, she was last seen on Thursday morning, was initially dismissed as a carefree university jaunt. This was an era before cell phones, before instant communication, where a missing student could simply be out and about, lost in the flow of young adulthood. But as Thursday bled into Friday, and Catherine missed her critical 2 p.m. class, the unease curdled into panic. This was not the behavior of the responsible, high-achieving student everyone knew. The official missing person report was filed, and the search commenced. The authorities, including the Mobile Police and the university administration, marshaled a vast search party. They scoured the campus, beginning near her dorm and gradually widening the scope into the surrounding woodland, a dense, dark thicket located mere hundreds of yards from the student residences. The woods were a silent, watchful entity, the air thick with the smell of damp leaves and decay. Then, one of the searchers, navigating the treacherous path 150 feet from the paved road, stumbled upon a sight that instantly froze the blood: a body, lying among the dry leaves and struggling wildflowers, still, silent, and horrifically out of place. One of her friends, present in the search party, was forced to confront the impossible truth. This is Catherine. She was fully dressed, lying seemingly composed, as if she had simply walked out and lain down to rest, a terrifying, deceptive piece. But the physical reality was brutal. The realization that this 18-year-old woman, who had everything to live for, was now a dead body on the grounds of her university, was devastating. The horror intensified upon closer examination. 2 definitive gunshot wounds to the head. This was not random. This was precise, cold, and utterly terrifying. The shell casings were found nearby, gleaming dully in the dim light, undeniable evidence of intentional malice. The scene spoke volumes to the experienced officers. No signs of a struggle, no obvious motive for robbery. This was an execution, a calculated removal. Every murder is a mystery, the ominous text later appeared, but this one felt deeper, more disturbing, suggesting a chilling secret had been carefully buried beneath the surface of a perfect life. The stage was set for the macabre world of the medical examiner, where the ugly, messy secrets people tried desperately to hide would inevitably come to light. Secrets of the Morgue, Part 2, The Cold Embrace of Forensic Science, Part 2, The Cold Embrace of Forensic Science. The sterile, unforgiving chill of the medical examiner's facility offered no comfort. Under the stark, high-powered lights of the autopsy room, Catherine Foster's body lay, a silent tableau of violence. Dr. Gary Cumberland, assisting the chief ME, Dr. Leroy Riddick, initiated the grim task. They were meticulous, driven by the desire to do a good job and be thorough, knowing that every wound, every discoloration was a piece of the grotesque puzzle. The physical trauma was immediate and shocking. The 2 bullet holes, both to the back of the head. One entry wound suggested an intermediate range, the muzzle far enough to leave no telltale stippling or searing. The second, however, was a contact shot, or near contact, delivered with terrifying proximity. This was the first chilling anomaly, a deliberate, point-blank finality. It didn't look like the panicked act of a common criminal. This appeared to be a professional hit, one detective observed, the word professional hanging heavy in the air, completely at odds with Catherine's innocent life. Their deep dive into the victim's physiological history yielded even more unsettling contradictions. The toxicology report was pristine, stunningly clear of alcohol or illicit substances. Catherine was sober, lucid, and in control of her faculties when she died. This wasn't a reckless night gone wrong, nor was she subdued by drugs before the attack. This was a clean slate meeting a savage, calculated end. But the most profound horror was revealed deep within the cranial cavity. The examination indicated that after the first bullet was fired, Catherine's heart continued to beat. There was sufficient time for the brain to begin swelling, a vital response, before the second shot was delivered. Her heart was still beating, still pumping blood before that second bullet was fired, Dr. Cumberland confirmed. For expert Mark Mendelsohn, this was the walls of the investigation were closing in. Every wound, a piece of the puzzle, yet all the pieces they had gathered seemed to belong to another unseen picture. The murder of Catherine Foster was an impossible knot, a brutal crime with no motive, no struggle, and no discernible killer. The only certainty was the cold, unblinking glare of the 2 bullet wounds, evidence of a malice born not of impulse, but of horrifying personal intent. Secrets of the Morgue. Part 3, The Voice from the Grave and the Final Betrayal. Part 3, The Voice from the Grave and the Final Betrayal. Years turned into a torturous decade. The case of Catherine Foster was officially cold, a haunting file gathering dust in the mobile PD archives. Detective Williams felt the weight of the unsolved crime, a young life savagely taken, a family left in perpetual agony. Hundreds, perhaps thousands of people interviewed, countless miles traveled, yet every single investigative road had terminated in a suffocating dead end. It was the kind of case that burrowed deep, defying closure, a moral failure that gnawed at the consciences of all involved. Then, 3 years after Catherine's murder, an unexpected death offered a grim, unintended lifeline. A mile from the university campus, a non-suspicious fatality was reported. The deceased was identified as a campus security guard who had been employed by the University of South Alabama during the very week. Mike Morgan, one of the lead investigators, finally tracked her down to a nursing home. When he approached her, confirmed her identity, and placed her under arrest, Jamie's reaction was not denial or panic, but a profound, emotional release. She was highly distraught, yet remarkably, she confessed that the arrest was a bit of a relief. She was ready to talk, ready to reveal everything that had been hidden for so long. The meticulous work of the medical examiner decades prior, the calculated forensic breakthrough enabled by an unrelated death, and the weight of a guilty conscience finally aligned. The science proved the possibility, the confession provided the certainty. In 2010, decades after the brutal murder, justice was finally delivered to the family of Catherine Foster. They had lost their daughter in the most savage way, but after years of silence and speculation, the truth was excavated from the grave. The secret, the final, terrifying piece of the puzzle, was the intimate betrayal of her closest friend. Personal conclusion on the Catherine Foster case. The murder of Catherine Foster is perhaps one of the most chilling examples of how the deepest evil can hide behind the most innocent facade. My personal takeaway is one of profound sadness and frustration at the sheer audacity of the betrayal. The forensic evidence, particularly the overkill execution and the 2 distinct shots, consistently pointed toward intimacy, a crime rooted in deep personal malice, not random violence. This truth was staring the investigators in the face for decades. Yet the social impossibility of her best friend Jamie Kellum, being the killer, shielded the culprit for so long. It highlights a critical flaw in initial investigations, the bias that prevents us from seeing darkness